Mix two families, different traditions. Here with us to help a little bit, Reverend Sally Hitchener, who's chaplain at Brunel University in London, and Susie Heyman, who's a marriage counsellor. Very good morning to you.
Morning.
Have you got any of your own that you want to share with us, which have caused problems over the years?
Traditions that have caused problems? No, I've just established a new one, which I'm really happy about, which is I took my daughter-in-law out for tea the other day, and we decided this is going to be our new Christmas tradition.
Oh, like a pre-Christmas
afternoon tea before Christmas.
Okay.
That's a nice one.
Yeah,
it's quite relaxed as well.
Yeah, but I hear of the real clashes because I get letters, or I see people and get letters from families where you've got a blended family, step families coming together, kids, different traditions, absolutely.
So give us an idea of what is this about when you open the presents, or you know, what time's lunch? Those things can erupt, can they?
And they can become so special. Children really can object. Children who normally have, opened their presents all together in the morning, suddenly are mixing with children who like theirs right the way through the day. And it's not the tradition that causes the problem, it's the fact that these signify something. We are the family who does this. And all of a sudden, we're no longer the family that does that.
It's interesting now, though, isn't it? Because people do very much make up their own traditions, don't they? Do you find that?
And I think Christmas is a time for tradition. Christmas is a time that everyone, young and old, want to stick to what the familiar things are, want to go back to what they had when they were young. And that can include what time you open the presents. We had to wait till after the Queen's speech. I think that's terrible, really. Shocking. But it could also mean things like midnight mass or a Christingle service, things that people find that sort of spiritual things. Going out for tea with your daughter. I mean, things that actually take the pressure off, that aren't sort of the high pressure food and presents aspects of Christmas.
What is it about Christmas that gets everybody just a tiny bit tense?
Because you want it to be perfect. And what you remember is your childhood, and you edit out the nasty bits, the arguments or the tensions that you actually saw. You don't remember those. Rose-coloured glasses, you just remember the good things. And as an adult, you're so trying to reproduce that for your children. You set the bar impossibly high. You've got really unrealistic expectations, and you so want this to happen. And of course, you're often pressure cooked because too much drink, too much food, all in a room with people perhaps you haven't seen all year. And as I said, you want to make it perfect, and that's where ours can develop.
Sometimes I think, Sally, that how commercial things are now, without wishing to sound like I'm looking back through rose-coloured spectacles, but in the 60s, for example,
you weren't a lad in the 60s, were you?
Yeah, absolutely, and there didn't have that much stuff. I mean, and it tended to be, you got very excited about little things. I remember you used to get those tins of cheesy footballs, and I think you still get them now. But that was a big deal,
big thing.
And it was a Christmas. It was like a Christmas tradition. But now, there's so much stuff around that adds to the mix, doesn't it?
A funny story that happened to me and my family one year. My mum is a bit of a do-gooder, and she invited an entire Nigerian family who just arrived in the UK to come spend Christmas with us, and they helped us prepare all the food, and they got all ready, and then they went and got their coats on, and we said, well, what's going on? And they said, well, are we not going to give this to the poor? And so awkward, but understanding. They were very gracious and very lovely, and they laughed it off, and we all sat down and ate ourselves silly. But there is something about other cultures, and actually maybe in multicultural Britain, the sort of different traditions, not just even the Christian traditions, but the different traditions of making light in darkness.
Because this is the winter festivity. It's not just Christian. It's about lighting the fires to bring back the light. It's after we've just had the longest night. But it's also about, I think, recognising that it's about bonds. And that's the important thing. I think the point is that we've got a society at the moment where we're often replacing attention and love with things. We're so time poor, but we're cash rich. So we buy our children things rather than recognising what they want is actually our time. They want our time. They don't want things.
And also, the thing I feel really strongly about this, that the first sort of Christmas family was far from perfect. Mary and Joseph had just got over a near divorce. Their financial problems, their preparations were rubbish. They didn't even have room in the inn. Unconventional family situation. Why do we put ourselves under so much pressure to have the perfect family at Christmas time? The fact that
if we talked it through, that's the important
key. I like the way you brought that back to the traditional story.
And also, we can talk about this all morning. You are coming back to remind us of this shortly, later on in the programme anyway.
Let's see time now, 7:45. You're watching Breakfast from BBC.